Sidy Cissoko signed with the G League Ignite in July of 2022 as the third-ranked international prospect in this draft class behind Victor Wembanyama and Ryan Rupert. Cissoko cited several reasons for joining Ignite, but chief among them was their emphasis on player development. Cissoko saw Dyson Daniels join Ignite as an international prospect and rocket up draft boards in his time with Ignite, eventually being drafted 8th overall in the 2022 NBA draft. It doesn't seem likely Cissoko will find himself in the top 10 like Daniels, but he is an intriguing prospect with his combination of size, athleticism, and skill set. He has been a late riser at mock drafts and is now being looked at as an early second round pick in most mocks with the potential to break into the end of the first round. The first strength for Cissoko is his ability as a passer. Cissoko definitely profiles as a wing, coming in at 6'6.5" with a 6'10" wingspan, but he has also displayed some excellent passing ability. Cissoko has good vision on the move and from a standstill. He always seems to know where his teammates are on the floor and loves to throw no-look passes. Additionally, he is good at fitting accurate passes into tight windows. This is likely partially due to his good vision. He can see passing lanes that others can't, but it also requires the touch to be able to get those passes into those lanes. I don't think Cissoko quite has the handle to be a guy that runs the offense, but his passing ability will make him a great secondary playmaking option at the next level. Another strength for Cissoko is defense. When Cissoko joined Ignite, his calling card was his ability on the defensive end of the floor, and he didn't disappoint. Cissoko is a versatile defender, possessing the size and strength to handle bigger players on the wing and down low, but also possessing the quickness and athleticism to defend on the perimeter. Cissoko is very physical on the defensive end of the floor and is going to make an offensive player earn everything they get on that end. His aggressiveness and physicality will show up in the stat sheet in the form of blocks and steals. He averaged over 1 each per game in his time with Ignite. He'll need some more polish on the defensive end down the road, but the tools and talent are there for Cissoko to be a really solid NBA defender. One final strength for Cissoko is athleticism. Cissoko looks to be a really good all-around athlete. He can throw down thunderous dunks and elevate to swat shots from a vertical perspective, but he also has good balance and quick feet. He can change directions in a hurry to shake guys on the offensive end, and can maintain his balance through contact. He can be really hard to stay in front of as a defender when he gets ahead of steam to the basket. Cissoko hasn't quite turned his raw athleticism into production as effectively as you would like, but having that athleticism gives him a good floor to work with. One weakness for Cissoko is shooting efficiency. When I first watched Cissoko, I noted that he had a smooth-looking shot, and I assumed he must be a solid shooter, but the stats simply do not back that up. In 43 games with Ignite, Cissiko's shooting splits came out to 44, 31, 64. Not exactly numbers that jump off the page. The three-point percentage can be waved away a bit as Cissoko was adjusting to a new three-point line, but the field goal percentage and free throw percentage are also underwhelming and less easy to explain away. His numbers playing in Spain last year were also not very good, shooting 42, 25, 63 across 33 games played. Cissoko does display flashes, like shooting 48% from 3 on 6 attempts per game this past February, but he just hasn't displayed enough consistency for me to fully buy into his shot yet. Another weakness for Cissoko is foul trouble. As mentioned earlier, Cissoko is a very aggressive and physical presence on the defensive end of the floor. This is good in that it forces offensive players to work hard for everything they get, but the drawback is Cissoko can get into foul trouble at times. Cissoko averaged 3.4 fouls per game this past season and fouled out 5 times in 43 games. Cissoko just hasn't figured out how to throttle down on the defensive end of the floor. He'll fly around crashing into guys or get over aggressive and reach in when there's no benefit to doing so. I personally enjoy Sissoko's play on the defensive end, but he'll have to learn when to ease off the gas a bit if he wants to stay on the floor. This first clip displays some of Sissoko's ability as a passer. The play begins with Cissoko pulling down the rebound on the defensive end of the floor. Cissoko takes 2 dribbles up to about half court, then threads a no-look bounce pass to a teammate cutting in from the wing for a dunk. Cissoko not only recognized that his teammate had a clear run to the basket while on the move, but also threaded a perfect pass past a wall of 4 defenders. Cissoko doesn't have the ball handling chops to run an offense right now, I don't think, but passes like this show his ability to be a really nice secondary playmaker. This next clip shows some of Sissoko's strength and aggressiveness on the defensive end. The play begins with Cissoko defending in the post. The offensive player scoots around him into the lane and tries to knock him back with a shoulder. Cissoko holds his ground and beyond that gets his hands on the ball and rips it out to force the turnover. Sissoko's aggressive play on the defensive end can get him in trouble at times, but it also pays dividends like on this play. This final clip gives us an example of how Sissoko's aggressive play on defense can get him in foul trouble. The play starts with Cissoko racing back on defense in transition. Cissoko is basically the last line of defense between the offensive player and the basket. He leaps very early towards the basket and comes down hard on the offensive player. Sissoko's effort on this play is admirable, but there are times when he needs to learn to let off the gas a bit to not pick up unnecessary fouls. Sidy Cissoko has some tantalizing tools, but seems a bit raw as a prospect overall. He has some really nice passing ability and is athletic and strong, but he hasn't really turned all of his talent into actual production on the court. He averaged 12 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists in his one season with Ignite, and as mentioned earlier, wasn't very efficient shooting the ball. Likewise on the defensive end, he displays flashes of being a really good defender, but also hasn't figured out how to rein in his aggressiveness and finds himself in foul trouble too often. If Cissoko lands in a good situation and has the ability to polish his game, he could turn into a really nice role player later in his career, but it will likely take some time before he gets to this point. My NBA comp for Sidy Cissoko is Jonathan Kuminga. Kuminga had a lot more hype around him when he began playing for Ignite and also during the draft process, but the two have fairly similar games. Both are good athletes that play aggressive defense and has some ability to play make. Kuminga was also pretty raw coming into the league just like Cissoko. Kuminga I think ultimately has the higher ceiling, but Cissoko could be a watered down version of Kuminga as his career progresses.